Today, Fox will be teaching you how to deploy a printer server. So let's begin. This is going to be on our current server that we've been working on. So we have our Active Directory, our DNS, the DHCP server, along with our file and storage services. So what we want to do is we want to go to Manage. We want to add roles and features. From here, a dialog box will pop up. We could just click on Next. If you have a remote desktop service installation, you select it here, but we will select role-based or feature-based installation. Select the server that we have, Windows Server 1, and what we want to do is select Print and Document Services. Click on Add Features, and then we will leave everything default. So we click on Next, leave everything as default. You want to read this, maybe take note of this, screenshot this, so that way you have the information about this type of server role. Click on Next, and you want a print server. You could also select these services as well, but we're not doing internet printing. We're not providing printing over the internet to the public, so we will just select Print Server. Click on Install. And this will install the server role, so that way it could administer services for printers. After that, we will add our first printer. If you have multiple printers for your network and your business, you would add them to this server. So now this feature will allow you to manage your servers and have them at one central location. After the installation process is completed, we can go ahead and configure our first printer. Now that the installation is complete, we want to click on Close. And we now have the capability to manage our printer server. So we want to click on Tools, and we want to go to Print Management. What we want to do in this menu is open up the print servers that you have. You expand your Windows server that you have locally, and you expand the printer's selection. From here, you would add your printer according to the IP or the printer address. So let's go ahead and do that now. Typically, you could search for a network printer. You could add an existing printer using an existing network. This uses some kind of serial ports or print ports. We won't use that. Or you could create a new port. For our case scenario, and generally most enterprise printers are going to be involving the IP scheme and THCP. So go ahead and select THCP and IP printer services by IP or host name. From here, we could auto-detect the type of device, and we want to type up the IP address of the printer. For our case scenario, that is 10.0.0.8. And we will go ahead and select Auto Detect the printer driver to use. Then click on Next. It will start detecting the TCP and IP ports for that printer. And once it finds the correct drivers, it will start installing the drivers. If you don't have the drivers for that printer, you may have to install them directly from an internet download. So just take note of that. Next, it will ask you if you want to use a specific type of network card. For our case scenario, we will select the generic network card. And then click on Next. Next, you will be brought to a page that's asking you to install the specific driver. For our case scenario, we will probably have to install the driver on this server for it to work. So from here, we have to select Have Disk, and we browse to our location where we have the drivers downloaded. For this case scenario, it should be in the libraries and downloads. So let's go to this PC, users, DNS, downloads. open that. Click OK. As you can see, it's going to give us a list of different drivers for our printer. This printer is the HP LaserJet Professional M1212NF. So we'll select this one right here, click next. Make sure you select the proper driver for your printer model. You don't want to select the wrong model and the wrong driver for your printer. Then we want to go ahead and click on not share this printer. And click on, actually we want to share this printer, we do. And click on next. So as you can see, here's the printer name, its shared name, then you have the port, and then go ahead and click on next. It will install the driver and configure the printer so that way you could print a test page. So as you can see, the wizard said that it successfully installed the driver and the printer. We could click on print a test page, and we could also alternatively add another printer if we want to select this right here, but we won't add another printer. So we click on finish. And this is how you would administer your print server. So that way you have your printers connected to one server, centrally located, and logging all the files, all the printing activity, and everything that goes on the printers in that business network. So there's a few more things that I would like to go through. As you can see, we have all of our servers located on one device, one virtual machine, or one physical server. This would usually be separated, so the Active Directory would be on a different server, physical server, the DHCP server would be on a different physical server, and then these three other servers, the DNS, the file storage services, and the print services, would all be on physical servers, separate from their own aggregate. But for this case scenario, because we are doing just a lesson, all these server roles are going to be on this one physical server. Now, some businesses that are growing and that are still small businesses, they can't afford, or they shouldn't be able to purchase too many servers, because that's usually a big fee to operate. So what small businesses generally do is they'll put all the server roles on one single device. However, this is not recommended for a lot of reasons, because it could create a single point of failure where if this physical server goes down, then everything else goes down. So just keep that in mind, that generally you want to separate your server roles if your company could afford having multiple servers. Another thing to look at is the server roles. There's a bunch of different server roles that we're not going to be going through, and we're going through the surface level of all these different roles. But as you can see, you could have remote access, you could do web servers, you could deploy Windows Server updates to control which devices get an update and what updates they get. So it could really have a better control of your network the more servers and the more roles that are installed. So just take note of that. There's so many things to do with Windows Server. The possibilities are almost limitless. Other than that, that is how to deploy a print server. If you enjoyed this video, please like, and please don't hesitate to contact TeleFox for all your consulting needs. You have a good afternoon.